Greetings, bienvenue, come on in, sit on down. Today's video is a little bit different. I got the opportunity this week to sit down with creator Lava Tyrant. Lava Tyrant is a YouTuber, Fakemon creator, all-around great guy who actually is the person who I modeled my channel after in the beginning. So when I first got started on YouTube, I did not know what to do, where to go, how to handle editing and structure of stuff. And so Lava Tyrant is a creator who I found and really started stepping up the bar so that I could become more like their channel. All this time later, I was able to sit down, talk not just the successes of YouTube, but also some of the struggles that we as creators faced, whether that be YouTube creators, Instagram artists, or anywhere in between. It was a really fun and eye-opening conversation that I'm hoping you're able to learn a little bit from as well. So without much further ado, let's hop right into that call. So I'm here with Lava Tyrant. Lava Tyrant is a YouTuber, a Fakemon artist, all-around good guy, and yeah, how are you doing, Lava?
Doing good.
Right.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I know. Behind the scenes stuff. I know that I've talked to you about like, hey, it'd be fun to work on a project, and you've always been like, I am 100% down. And then I was like, cool. And then I would like move on and do something else and forget. So it's nice to actually have this time officially.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's gonna be fun. Let's just say that. Like, I've been looking forward to doing something like this. And yeah, I'm glad we're finally doing it.
Me too. I've been looking forward to it ever since we first talked about it, like last week. Of like, hey, I want to do this. Yeah. Are you down? And you were, again, every time you're like, I'm 100% down. But yeah, I think one of the first questions that I have for you is one that I think is probably one of the most over-encompassing questions that a lot of fans of your stuff, of my stuff have. And, you know, everyone, it feels like as many times as we answer this question, it's continually asked. And that is kind of the origin story, how you got to where you are. So what led you into, I'm going to make a YouTube channel and it's going to be focused on Fakemon?
Right. So, well, my story sort of starts from before YouTube. I used to make art on Instagram back when I had one, that like a different one. And I used to do traditional art, and it's like, growing up, I've just been a really big fan of art, and like growing up, I always liked Pokemon, and I was under the belief that I was the first person who made Fakemon or whatever when I was a kid, but turns out no, obviously. But yeah, when I sort of got to a point where I realized that my Instagram wasn't really popping off, or it wasn't getting, the traction it wanted, and I always found YouTube to be interesting. I found myself watching YouTube videos. I found myself enjoying other people's creations, and I saw other people who were making art on there. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. But I didn't directly start with art. I actually started with gaming contests. And that's a thing that not many people know, because I've just gotten rid of all my gaming videos because they were all bad, pretty much. And they were very old. So at one point I was like, all right, I have this idea for a region I wanted to make based on India, where I'm from. And I was like, fine, let's make a video on it. And that was around the time I was getting into digital art, because I had been a traditional artist for so long, and I just wanted to try the new medium, and people seemed to like it. So I was like, all right, let's give this a try. And that's kind of where it all started.
Right on. I mean, I feel like you and I have a very similar story with a lot of that stuff. Like, I also kind of started doing Instagram, and I quit it for a while, too. I was, like, on Instagram posting art, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere with this, so I kind of let it go, and then hopped in later, like a year or two later. I was like, I'm going to try and do this kind of more seriously, take this into account better. And once I moved over to YouTube, I also was like, I've got to delete all these old gaming videos off of my YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
So do you have the same thing where like your channel says like you started like 3 years prior to you actually starting doing it more seriously? Yeah.
Like I usually celebrate my anniversary around May, but that's kind of when I started my channel. My I don't like I'll need to check when my actual first video was uploaded. I have no idea when it was.
So
Um,
you were more of a self-taught artist. It sounds like you're not like I've heard of people who are like, oh, I do
yeah.
Pokemon art, and I went to design school and I did all these things. But
No,
you
no,
were
no, no, no.
self-taught.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Does that apply to like your editing
I
system as well?
Oh yeah, like I've never had like proper like expertise with that or like education, I guess. I've kind of just learned stuff on the fly and like tried everything, seen what works, what doesn't, and kind of just went off from that.
Okay. I love that. I love that because I feel like for a lot of creators who or people who are prospective creators, they say like, oh, I want to start making stuff. I want to start a channel, whatever. I feel like the stopping point for a lot of people is, oh, well, I don't have any training or I don't know how. But it seems like you and a lot of other people that I've talked to, a lot of the time it's, I'm just going to do it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, my family has always been very supportive of creative endeavors. My dad himself was he wasn't like a proper artist, but he himself loved art, and I guess it just kind of came from that. It's just the sort of surroundings I had that being so supportive and all that. So I really got to go into the stuff that I wanted to do just because I wanted to do it. And yeah, art just stuff.
Yeah, so you never had that like, no, Dad, I want to be an artist type of conversation.
No,
You had a
not
very
really.
supportive
I
family.
mean, kinda like we've had like sort of conversations like that, but it's not in a way that he would be like, don't ever do art again and you have to focus on your studies or whatever. No, he's been like, yeah, you can focus on your studies, but you can also focus on your art. Like, if you're good at it, you shouldn't stop doing it.
Right on. Yeah, man, that is such a cool setup to have, and I feel like it's so rare now to have that type of upbringing. Very fortunate, very lucky, and I feel like it shows within your creation, within your creative process, and within your art that you have a genuine passion for what you're doing and what you're working on, and the fact that you started working with more artists and reaching out and collaborating a lot more, I feel like is it really speaks to the passion that you have towards not only like, oh, we all love cool pictures, but you also very clearly have a passion for the process.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to see other people, and especially other people who are. Oh wow. I don't know if you could hear that. There's like rockets and stuff outside because it's like the festival season.
Oh,
But,
is it? We'll talk about that in a minute. I want to hear more about that, but go on. Sorry.
But yeah, it's just that it's nice to meet people in the community who are just really cool artists and who do the same stuff as you, usually way better than me. And it's just like, it's nice to get to know them. It's nice to talk to them. And whenever I get the chance, I like to collaborate with them, and I like to, bring them on when I can. And it's fun to get to know these people because I know at one point, like at time, like I was also in that position. If they are a smaller creator than me, and if they're a bigger creator than me, I was like, yeah, they're at a point where I want to be in the future. So it's nice to make connections in the community.
And do you feel like the way that I feel about the Pokemon community? Because I know when I came in, when I started posting on Instagram, I kind of locked myself away. It was like, I'm just posting and hoping something happens. But eventually you build your way into the community where you start to know other artists and you start to talk to other people. Do you feel the same way that I feel on that? And feel free to disagree. Like, hey, the Fakemon community in Discord and Instagram it's one of the most welcoming communities that I think I've ever been a part of.
It really is. Yeah, I mean, I won't name names, but like I've always been welcomed into these communities. I started my Pokemon related journey through fan games. Like I worked on a certain fan game, and through that I sort of just started making connections, and it has always been very welcoming, especially of people who are learning the craft in my in my case at least. So yeah, it's truly welcoming, and I really like that about this community. The fact that it's so welcoming and so open. There's no gatekeeping, to be honest, and it's nice to be part of.
It is. I strongly urge artists, if you're like, hey, I post online, but I'm not in groups or talking to people, etc. I strongly urge, because I know for me, and it sounds like you have the same experience, of like once you start putting yourself out there and communicating with other artists and other creatives in that space, like you are surprised. Like I know you said you won't name names. I'll name names. Like coming in to like talking on Instagram and talking in Discord, I was surprised how quickly that I was able to connect. When I was like a little guy, I had nothing but my Instagram. How quickly I was able to connect and actually talk to other people who I'd followed on Instagram all this time, and it was like, oh, you're like real people. I don't know. Do you feel the same way?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, again, I'm not gonna name names.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Still, yeah. I don't want to get into trouble, but you know, it's nice to meet these people, and I wouldn't say I've really there isn't a huge bucket list of mine or anything of meeting a specific person who I've been following for a while, or nor have I completed any of those. But I've still met like people who I consider really good artists in the community, and I've talked with them, and they're genuinely good people, and it's nice to talk with them. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
including you, of course. I mean.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's weird. I got started doing my YouTube stuff like a year ago, and so it's still weird to be. And I feel like we look at artists and we look at creatives on certain levels. It's like, oh, you got your lower level guys, you got your people who do it for fun, you got your people who you kind of see on Instagram every now and then you have like your top tier entertainment creators. You have your top tier like guys where it's like you said, your bucket list, the people where it's like, oh, I hope that I can meet them or talk to them someday. And that level or tier, that mental tier system, it feels like is such a more limiting factor for artists.
It is, yeah. It is.
It's something that I feel like blocks you from being able to do what you want to do. Like I had a situation where it rose up, and I reached out to like Panio, and I said like, oh, I'll name names. Yeah. I reached out to Panio, and I was like, I love Panio, love his work, love his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I messaged him about something small and insignificant, and he responded, and we talked for a little bit, and I was like, I'm actively in conversation with one of these people that I was like, oh, it'd be cool if someday I could meet and talk to them. You know, and then other artists who are of the same caliber of like Licertino. She and I were on a call on a live stream the other day, and it's like I was there. You were there, and you were the one who was like, I don't know what stream to watch. I was like, yeah, great news. We're gonna be on the same one. But yeah, I think it's so cool, and of course you as well, where it's like, you talk to these people, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're a real person who has aspirations and is welcoming and talkative to people who are, in the community, and I love that. I'm gonna move us on to the another question that I have here. Do you feel that Pokemon influenced your style, or that your style was influenced by Pokemon? Let me rephrase that a little bit. Do you feel that your style has changed upon coming into the Pokemon and Fakemon ecosphere? Or was your style already so influenced that you felt like you already were a natural fit?
I think more so the latter, because I've granted, I mostly have my presence through Fakemon and Pokemon, but many people may or may not know I'm like hard at work on a graphic novel project, and like developing that, I've just kind of formed this specific art style that I've maintained for quite a while, and it's definitely like it hadn't before, but especially I'd say from this year and the art I've made this year, it has started to influence how I draw Fakemon. And there is some bleed over, because at the end of the day, when drawing a Fakemon or a Pokemon, you're drawing a monster or a creature design. Yeah. So whenever I'm drawing creatures, it definitely shows there are some influence. Like there is some influence there, because I tend to simplify stuff that I didn't before. I used to go a lot more detailed, but I don't anymore, to be honest.
Mm,
And it's kind of that mental, you know, I wouldn't say blockage, but it's just that you're so used to drawing that Sugimori art style of sorts that
yeah.
it kind of just becomes a part of you, especially when drawing creatures. But other than that, not really. No.
Okay. Oh, I asked because I know, like, I got started doing like comic book characters and superheroes, and then I moved over to Pokemon.
Oh,
I've been
okay.
doing this for so long that I went back and I'm like, you know what? I really want to draw like a Mr. Freeze or whatever, and I had to like
Mm.
try and break myself from the Pokemon style to get back into that. And so I'm curious if that was the same case for you. And it sounds like there is some struggle there, but ultimately,
Yeah, I know.
you have a refined enough
I've
style.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of worked it in a way where I have divided my art style into like what, four art styles to be honest. There is the one I draw in normally. There is two of them are my Pokemon and Pokemon trainer art styles because I draw the trainers and the Pokemon themselves in different art styles for some reason. And then there is my thumbnail art style, or you know, those four are kind of my base art styles, and I try to treat them as different as possible so that I don't end up bleeding over any of them.
Right. Hmm. Okay. I'm trying to, because it's so foreign to me how talented you are on that, of like, I know what the, that you can separate yourself into four different ways like that, because that's something I know I struggle with. So it's interesting to hear like someone else's side of it and being like, oh well, here's what I do.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of just what I've tried to do, especially when I realize that, oh, if I don't do this, everything will just look the same, and I can't allow that. And
I cannot allow it.
especially when you're taking on, especially when you're taking on big projects where you're drawing so many characters who look vastly different from one another in
Mhm.
completely different universes and all that. It's just a jumbled mess if you're using just one art style. So I had to force myself to split them.
Oh man, and that is such a like, that is such a devotion to the craft to be able to do that, because I feel like a lot of people think, oh, it's easy, oh, it's easy, just draw like a Pokemon, then draw like a realistic wolf. You're an artist, you can do both those things. But it is definitely something that you have to train yourself to do, to like
Yeah, absolutely.
to section off that part of your brain and say, I'm drawing something different now. And it sounds like you are capable of doing that and working on it. And it's that is definitely something that I hear as you say it, and I'm like, man, that sounds cool. I don't understand it, but it sounds awesome, and I wish I could.
Oh yeah, I mean, fair
we
enough, I guess.
we so I want to ask, because that kind of answers the other question that I had was, but I feel like there's a little bit more to it. How do you balance that Pokemon like simplicity with something that is, with bringing in a wholly new concept to it? So you're designing a Pokemon and you say, I want to design this Pokemon with, that's based on this and the other thing. How do you balance out the simplicity of Pokemon with those harsher type of vibes? Like, for me, I do a lot of stuff where I combine things, where it's like, oh, I'm going to combine Elden Ring with Pokemon. Very different styles, very different, where are you going to balance those things? So I'm curious how you do that when designing a Fakemon.
Hmm. Bit of a complicated question. Let me think about this.
Yeah. Multifaceted question.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to specifics, like I feel like I've obviously done what you just said, where, like you said, Elden Ring is Pokemon. I've done like fictional things as Pokemon,
Uh-huh.
and in those cases, it's easier, I'd say, because you kind of are basing it off of something that's been in media for a long time. But for things that are like full on Fakemon for regions, and you have to take inspiration from culture and real history and stuff like that, you kind of just have to learn how uh, the Pokemon art style works. And I won't say I have that capacity. I don't have a like proper Pokemon art style like the one the Ken Sugimori would draw. Like I know a lot of people who can draw very close to that art style, but I've kind of given myself leeway where I can go as detailed as I want and still be satisfied with that, and go as less detailed as I want and still be satisfied. while maintaining the fact that it gets the point across for what design I want to make.
And I like that you use the word satisfied in that, because I think that's what comes out of all of this. I mean, I know that I've heard Jack from Subjectively say it in videos before, where it's, oh, well, I'm not hitting the Pokemon style, but this is a style that I like and that I'm happy with. And I feel like a lot of people have a hard time with that, where it's, well, I'm trying to make a Pokemon, so it should look like the Pokemon style. Whereas other people say, listen, I can't do it. I'm just going to draw what makes me happy, and I'm gonna slap Pokemon on it. And I think that's fine too. How do you feel on that idea?
It's just that, like, I think this is something that comes with drawing Fakemon over a long period of time. Like I said, like, I've been drawing Fakemon from back when I had an Instagram account, and just doing it over and over again, you kind of deviate from the existing, for, again, lack of a better term, the Sugimori philosophy of drawing Pokemon, and kind of evolve it into your own, where you're using the things that you know and using whatever you have and fusing it, kind of like kid bashing almost, with existing properties and existing things that you know and existing Pokemon, and like kind of just mushing it all together and making your own thing. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. It sounds a bit weird, but it's just that. It's just like you have to work on it over time, and it kind of just makes itself, I think.
Well, I mean, I think it leads into a question here of like, when you're working on the entire structure, because I think designing a Pokemon is one thing, but then as a PokeTuber, you're like, this is like one portion of the entirety of the project, right? So this is kind of a this or that type of setup for questioning here. The first one is, when you're designing, what do you, as a PokeTuber, feel is the most difficult part? And what is the most enjoyable part? Is it the designing Pokemon? Is it the recording/editing? Is it the thumbnail? What of that process, what for you is like, this is the part where I have to put my brain into a different gear to accomplish? And again, is it the art itself? Is it the editing and recording? Or is it the thumbnail process?
It's mainly the editing and a little bit of the recording that I mainly have to go like, all right, it's time to do this, because the thing is, I love doing art. So whenever it's time to do art, whenever it's like Pokemon or even a thumbnail design, I just do it because I like doing it. And I've even drawn like random thumbnails for videos that I'll never make, because I just think it's very funny and it's fun. But when it comes to recording has its own reasons, because I'm fine with recording things, but I'm not fine with the environment I'm recording them in, because I have a lot of noise issues that I have to work around, which is why I have to like cut and record multiple times, which is very annoying. It's a tedious process. And editing is its own Goliath of an issue, because I'm always like, I use a very poor phone, and it's gone through hell and back to get my videos edited, and it lags incredibly, like horribly, when I try to edit something. And it's like, it's just that, it's like when the things get tedious, it gets annoying, and that's when I'm like, okay, it's time to do this again. Yeah, it's just
okay. Yeah, I 100% agree. I feel like I for me at least too, it's like I can draw and it's like, oh, I love this. I can almost turn my brain off and just be like, all right, I'm drawing a Pokemon. Yeah. I'm having fun. But then when it comes to the recording and editing, I'm like, and now it's time to work. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the thumbnail itself, it's funny, I 100% agree with you. Like, I have thumbnails that are for videos that will never come out. And I know some people feel some people feel very differently. I've talked to other people who say like, oh, the thumbnail is the hardest part, because that's where you're trying to market now. You're no longer in the mindset of creativity. You're in the mindset of balancing creativity with, how do I sell my product, right?
Yeah, that's like the other part of it. I think a lot of the people have this very this mentality of like, I need to market this. I just try to have fun, and especially recently, I've kind of stepped away from doing that templated thumbnail system of like, oh, there's going to be the new designs over here, There's going to be the name here. I've just started doing this where I just draw the thumbnail as its own piece, so it stands on its own. And it's genuinely fun because I'm just having fun doing it. And it's just that when I make a video, when I'm doing it, I want to get across that I did this for my fun. And if you think you'll find this fun, you should watch it.
Yeah.
And not as like, you need to watch this because it's got, something cool in it for you. And it was extremely excruciating for me to put through and whatever. It's just that I'm kind of sharing my own fun. That's kind of the mentality I have.
More, this is fun and this is an art piece itself, over I'm hitting all the check marks for dopamine release that make you like this image. Yeah. I like that. I think that's a really good way of looking at it, and a good way of getting back to the joy and removing that aspect of like, all right, now time to do this third thing. But coming back to like, no, I'm going to do the thing that I enjoyed most again. I mean, if that's fair to say. Now,
yeah, I mean...
Now, on the same note here of the like this or that type of questioning, when you're designing a Pokemon, when you're designing something, do you typically start with the typing, the lore, the concept, like where do you start your process? What helps people? Because I feel like a lot of people, they go in and they say, I've designed this Pokemon, I have no ideas or concepts about it, I just like it. But do you feel like where do you feel like a good starting point is to create something that you feel successfully gets the point of the design across?
For me, I always find it challenging to just go in like blind. I usually just have this piece of lore that I want to start with always. Especially for the main region that I've been working on, Mahagari. It's a very lore heavy sort of cultural region, and it's very close to my home because it is my home. So I know a lot of the stuff there, and that's why I get to draw the stuff that I know about and just expand on the existing lore that I've kind of grown up with. So I find it necessary to start with a story for why this design exists in the world you're making before getting into it. And I think when you're developing that lore, the types just come to you immediately. And like if you're having a hard time, you can kind of just work around that, kind of figure out what type you want. But usually, for me at least, it's just like, yeah, I've come up with this idea, and it makes sense that it's a certain pair of types, if that makes sense.
No, I think it makes sense 100%. I think, yeah, coming in, like I know I've told people I do more research now than I've done in any other job that I've ever had, or any other like work that I've ever had, where it's, if you're getting into Pokemon and Fakemon design, you're trying to make it a real thing, trying to make it a job or a hobby-esque job or your secondary grind. Like, it's like, understand that a lot of that comes from research and understanding the lore and building out kind of a web of ideas in some ways. Because I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm going to do this because this feels like it's easy. And then I think you and I can profess here, like, it's not as easy as just, I'm going to draw something, now it's going to make money on the internet, like, or something like that.
No. Absolutely not. I mean, it's definitely not that. Like, it's just that when you're making something, you need to have a general idea of why it exists. I think it can't just exist because of the sake of it. At least if you want, like, unless you're going for that vibe of like it exists for the sake of it, like kind of bringing up like Kanto, most of those mons just like kind of just exist.
Right.
They don't have much of significance. But unless you're going for that vibe, you have to have some reason behind it,
Yeah, well, I feel like Kanto was very much like, we need to establish a base, which is why it's like, this Pokemon's based on rock, this one's based on trees, this one's, type of stuff.
And that's the thing, like, there's fun in that simplicity. I mean, even as recent as something like Scarlet and Violet, we had Flamigo, which is just a boxing glove flamingo.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, there's that tough balance you have to find between too simplistic and too complex that you need to maintain.
Well, you mentioned Flamigo, and I feel like that brings us into a new type of question here, which is like your opinions on the Pokemon franchise. This is where people come and beat us up. Where the comments are like, yes, they were wrong from minute 29 in, they were wrong.
Right, yeah.
So the first one here.
I mean,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just want to say I'm prepared to be wrong in this section because, fun fact, I've never played a Pokemon game before.
Oh my goodness! What do you mean?
I've played like zero Pokemon. Like I've played the spin-offs. I've played Pokemon Unite. I've played Pokemon Go. I've played TCG Pocket. I have not played a single mainline game. So all my information is through playthroughs and stuff like that.
Well, I feel like that's fair. I feel like that does come across in some way because the internet is so prevalent with like stuff. Oftentimes before the games come out, we know so much about the region already. Like the mega leaks that have been coming out for Legends ZA. Even before the game comes out, it's like, oh, we know, a good percentage of information.
Yeah.
So, the first question here is actually brought by one of my Discord Pleb Plus members who says, what is the weirdest, most WTF Mon that you've ever designed? And is there a story behind them?
Oh, that I've designed?
That you have... Yeah, we'll get into the canon stuff in a moment. But first, I feel like Pixelated, this user, has a good question for you.
Let me get my list of Pokemon up real quick. Let me find it.
You are so organized. That is off-putting. Oh, yeah. Because for me, people, what's your most WTF question? Like for me, if I were asked that, I'd say, I don't remember. I've designed over 1,000 at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. And here's the thing. I probably won't remember the name of it, but I'll find the design because it's in here somewhere. Hold on. Where is it? Where's my... Oh my god, where is my folder? It has disappeared. Oh, wait, there it is.
I know this question always requires a little bit of research. I've gotten asked this question before too, like, hey, who's your favorite Pokemon you've designed? I'm like, dude, I have no idea. Once the video's done, I sleep and forget.
Yeah, honestly, I completely agree there. It happens a lot to me. There are some very memorable ones that I've designed, and then there are the ones that I forget the next day. But yeah, most WTF, right?
Yeah.
I definitely have one.
Okay.
And it's from a video I released this year. It's Gloob.
Gloob. Okay. If you have it there, can you drop it in the Discord so that I can take a look at it?
Yeah, I can. It has a story behind it, and it's not called Gloob. Like, I call it Gloobutsu, but it's called Gloob for a reason.
Okay.
This is actually from the video I released as my 5th anniversary video, which was a sort of like a mockumentary about who made the first Fakemon. So, Gloob is actually the first Fakemon ever made, and Gloobutsu is like my adaptation of it. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, so Gloob exists.
Yeah, this is kind of cheating. I do know that because this isn't exactly a Fakemon I made. But it is a redesign I made. The real one looks entirely different, which is why I'm going to send it in anyway. And yeah.
Oh, I know this guy. This is from Pokemon Black or whatever it was. Like am I right or am I wrong?
No, this is old. This is like, so the story, if I'm remembering right, because it's been a while since May, but this is from a website called like Pokemon. It's like a very old Fakemon website, which was released in like the 1998, like around the same time Pokemon released. And this is like the first one that I found there, which was Gloob. I don't have the original image anymore, and the website itself is down. Like I checked recently, it's down.
I have found it.
Have you found it? Oh my god!
Is it this guy? Is it Pokemon Chaos Black version Gloob?
No, not this.
No,
it's older. This is old. This is Chaos from Sonic.
Yes. Yeah. No, I know.
No, the one I'm talking about is it's just an oval. That's all it is. It's a blue oval, with eyes,
Oh,
and
hold on.
it looks like a screenshot from Red and Blue. I can't for the life of me remember the name of the website, but it's in that video I made. I can look it up if I
Yeah.
can.
Oh, it's no worry.
But yeah, let me see if I can find the name of the website. Hold on.
And if you find the
Because
video
it's
that
a
you talk about,
it's a very interesting story that I came across that no one talks about, that website, because it really is the first threshold of Fakemon.
okay. Yeah, if you find the video, if you have the video, and I'm sure you do, drop it to me so I can put it in the description for this, because I think people need to be aware of Gloob. There it is. He gave it to me immediately. Okay,
Yep.
wonderful. Oh, that's a wonderful question from Pixelated. Thank you, Pixelated, for that question. Most WTF Pokemon. I didn't anticipate there to be that much lore into it, because I feel like
I mean, yeah, that is a cheating answer because, again, I didn't make Gloob, but if you really want to go in that, what Mon I made that I find kind of, WTF, I don't really have any, to be honest, because I try to think very well. I think the closest I have is Mugi, because the design is the design is great, but the concept is bonkers because it's based on a food that we have over here. Wait, let me see if I can send that too. But that one I just had fun with because I was literally designing that mon. I designed that mon right after eating what it's based on, and I was like, yeah, this could make a good food mon. So
just eating and I've got it. I figured it out. My next question here is who is your favorite Pokemon, and who is your least favorite Pokemon?
All right. People are gonna come at me with pitchforks when I
told
my
you
favorite Pokemon.
This is that section.
Yep. My favorite Pokemon of all time is Crabominable.
You're a monster.
Yeah. I know. I can hear the flames already, but yeah, I love Crabominable, and there's just it's a lot. It comes from the story of I used to play this fan game. I don't know if you know about this. It's called Deligi RPG, and there I had this incredibly overpowered Crabominable, and I was just like, oh my god. Because of it being so overpowered, I got to see its face every time, and I was like, why do people hate this again? Because it's a good design, in my opinion.
Oh, you had what is it? That syndrome where it's you're held captive by someone and you fall in love with them. Yeah, you had that.
Wait, what is it called? I forgot.
You had oh, they're gonna come as comments for it. But yeah, you had that where that Crabominable was holding you captive, and you were like, "I think I love you."
Yeah.
Okay. What? Okay, that's a good reasoning, I guess. I had a similar thing where I think I went in, and people are gonna come at me for this, and I thought Clodsire is a terrible Pokemon design. I hate Clodsire.
Oh, really?
And then I played the Paldean games, and I caught one, and I was like, this thing's a monster. I love it. This is great. This makes battle so easy. Mine was also very overpowered, and I was like, I love Clodsire.
Yeah. I just like Clodsire because of how cool it looks. I find it fun. I like axolotls in general.
Now, who's your least favorite Pokemon? Is this going to be just as hot a topic? Are you going to be Pikachu? Charizard?
I mean, Pikachu is a very easy answer. I actually enjoy Charizard more so because of the shiny. So I'm not too against it. And I have just the deepest love for any fire-type Pokemon in general, especially the starters. So, and Pikachu, again, very easy answer, but I'm not going to go that easy. I think, just because I talked about Flamigo, I feel like Flamigo's the number one choice in my head right now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also Cherim is it Cherim? No, it's Cherubi. Cherubi is the one that I genuinely don't like at all.
Really?
It's too simple. It's way too simple of a design to me.
Huh. It's funny because I was like, how can you hate Cherubi? Which is also a Pokemon that I forget exists if I'm not looking directly at it.
Exactly, yeah. That's the thing. Like, here's the thing: if I like a Pokemon, especially like Crabominable, it's decisive and it's divisive, and I like it, so it's in my head. But if I don't like a Pokemon, I just forget it exists.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess like if you don't play the games, then I guess that's a good way of kind of delineating it for yourself. Because I know for me, oftentimes I'll play a game and it's like I hate this thing, but it's so good I have to have it on my team for a little bit, and so you end up being more aware of the ones that you don't like.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like I love Toadschool, and people hate it. I'm like, no, his little wormy legs are phenomenal.
Really, do people hate it? I mean, I'm fine with it.
I've heard people be like, it's dumb. Like, not that they hate it, but they're like, it's a dumb looking Pokemon. And I'm like, that's why I love him. I would die for him.
That's the charm, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's meant to look. Have you seen the thing run? It's meant to look stupid.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, same with Crabominable, right? Like, I think the reason people hate it so much is because they think it's stupid, and it's like, from Crabrawler, it looks awful, like, evolving from Crabrawler, but I think the goofiness is the charm, so.
Absolutely. So that's your favorite, and that's your least favorite Pokemon. I think, and I feel like you've answered my other one here, which was, do you have any hot takes on Pokemon?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, true.
And you're like, Crabominable is good. And I'm like, you're a liar.
Yeah.
Like, there's no hotter take.
I like Crabominable. I mean, I'm so close to making Crabominable my channel mascot. I just won't because my channel's name is Lava Tyrant.
Lava Tyrant.
The most icy Pokemon in existence.
So how did you come up with the name Lava Tyrant? If you don't mind me asking.
Ooh, yeah. I've talked about this a little bit. It's very dumb. I just came up with it because I needed a username for my gamer tag. That's kind of it.
I see.
Like, I believe I was making a account profile for Google Play, or like the Google Play Games app or whatever, and I was just like, yeah, what sounds cool? Lava. I like fire. Yeah, sure, lava. Put that in there. Ooh, I rule over lava. I'm a tyrant of lava. Yeah, Lava Tyrant. There you go.
Oh man,
and that's it. That's all the origin is.
I feel like so many people, it's like that's the case where it's like, how'd you go with your name? And it's like, I signed up for such and such, and it said, hey, have you considered this as a username? And it's like, sure, whatever.
It's funny because, like, if I made my channel now, I wouldn't have called it Lava Tyrant. And the fact that it stayed that name is kind of that last remnant I have of my old gaming YouTube self. Because back then it made sense because Lava Tyrant sounds like a gamer tag. I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
But, you know, now that I don't really make gaming content that much, it's the last remnant of that era that's just gone. So we just have a Pokemon artist called Lava Tyrant, which is very jarring to many people.
No, I think it works. I mean, there are more odd names out there of people who make it huge.
Yeah, I mean.
So I get you. So I think that brings up this next question. Where did you come up with, because you have something that I'm jealous of. What you have is you have like a YouTube avatar, and I've tried so many times to come up with a YouTube avatar, but the problem is I show my face, and so it's like, oh, well, I'm competing with myself. How did you come up with the characterization of Lava Tyrant on YouTube, that character that you have?
Yeah, well, Lava Tyrant, the character, started off as Z, my original character, for my graphic novel called Project IXC. It's kind of an Ouroboros story where the character design sort of started as a sketch of an avatar I wanted to have on my Instagram, and then that sketch evolved into the original character called Z, and then that character then evolved again into my YouTube avatar. So it kind of came full circle at the end. But yeah, Z mainly is a character from Project IXC. He's the deuteragonist of it. So I was just like, yeah, mainly because he started off as a self-insert, let's be honest. So yeah, I found it fine to use that design when I'm representing myself in a video. So
it is so interesting, like the idea of like, because based on like the understanding and now understanding like the history of how your channel came to be and what it is, it feels like it is passion. Passion is the key point there. Like all the little things that come together are pieces of you without any marketing. Like, but it worked. Of like, oh, what am I going to use for my name? I'll use this old gamer tag that I have. And what am I going to use for my profile? Oh, I'll use the character from my comic that I have. Even down to your like, okay, what's your most WTF Pokemon? It's like, oh, it's based on this history that I had to research and learn about. And it feels like it is such a natural cohesion of ideas that came about based off of things from so many different factors that you love and that you made a part of you coming together into this YouTube identity. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think that's such a cool thing, and to be able to have that passion and that compassion for the community to be able to do so. So we got a couple questions here for future and advice. How do you see the Fakemon community, or do you see it evolving in the next few years? That's a big question.
I definitely see. Yeah, I mean, obviously, but it's just that, especially recently, there have been a lot of new creators who've, like, instantly, including you, they've like fully shot up the ranks very fast, and it's really nice to see that I guess the YouTube algorithms really trying to support this niche, which it is a niche because there aren't as many. It's not a proper genre yet. It's still in its infancy to me. But yeah, I definitely see some big evolutions coming for the community. I think more and more people, more and more artists are going to be comfortable going forward to make their own regions because so many people before them have made it and been doing it. And especially on YouTube specifically. I feel like Instagram already has a pretty big, grip on this niche. And there are many creators who are very well known from this niche over there. But on YouTube, it's still growing, and I see it grow further in the future, and very fast, mind you. Like it's growing pretty quickly. I'm surprised with how like this year alone has introduced me to a lot of new artists, and it's very nice to see that they're being supported to whatever extent.
Oh man, if you could stop being so nice to everyone for 5 seconds, man. So that is such a good answer. I love that. I love the fact that you are seeing people who are succeeding in the niche and saying like, this is awesome for all of us. Because I feel like there's so much.
I mean, if you want me to stop being nice, I got to be honest. I'm a little jealous. I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years, and these guys are getting the same amount of traction as me that I've gotten 5 years in one day. So
I was about to say, I feel like there's so many people who are like, no, it should be me type of stuff when they see other creators. Because YouTube, while this is I feel like there's this point and counterpoint to it. The Fakemon community is very welcoming and very loving of new creators and new artists. But I feel like YouTube is such a competitive battleground. I feel like.
Absolutely. Is that odd sort of in between that people have to face in this niche, which isn't really the case in Instagram, which is why the community is so much bigger over there. And in just general like art channel, like not channels, like art websites, I think Blue Sky has a pretty good grip. I'm not that much of a social person. I don't have any social media. I wouldn't know. But yeah, it's just I see it growing. So
I mean, I feel like I've had instances where I have a video and I'm working on it and I've planned out, and then someone else, a bigger group or someone of the same caliber, comes in and they make a video that's similar and it drops on the day that I'm working on the project, and I'm like, because it does feel competitive in that way. And you're right. On Instagram, you don't have that necessarily. In fact, I feel like Instagram and other socials like Blue Sky and Twitter, it's a lot more like, hey, let's all do this together. All those like drawing challenges and things like that. I had someone bring up yesterday on the live stream I did, like, hey, do you remember the different ability types meaning different forms type of challenge?
Yeah, right.
And I was like, oh, I do remember that. That was cool. But I feel like YouTube, it's a lot harder to do that. And instead it becomes a lot more of, oh, that guy, quote unquote, stole my video idea.
Absolutely. I mean, especially now. I'm gonna. This is the only name I'll put in this. I've been working on a region called Mahagari, based on India,
Yes.
for 5 years,
Yes.
and then last year, I think, another person started working on their India region called Devhar, and I was deeply annoyed because it's just like I was like, oh no, oh god, it's so old because he has just a much bigger grasp on the community, way bigger than mine.
Over a million
started,
recently, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it doesn't matter if he started the race like 4 years late; he's still gonna win, and it's just insane to me. And I'm a little annoyed that I'm gonna be honest here. I'm not the biggest fan of Devar, not just because it's another India region, because there have been other people who've made India regions, even
yeah, for sure.
I'm not the best person, but it's like he kind of simplified stuff a bit too much, and like I won't critique too much, but I have thoughts about Devar.
Right. Well,
I'll talk about someday.
Well, I think it's one of those things where the place that you're from, Like I know I'm one of the people who started out and said, I want to do an Australia region because that seems fun. And I started out and I was going, and I think I got like maybe 15 Pokemon in and said, and that's everything that I know about Australia.
And even then, like I know such a small part of India because I've kind of been a localized person. Like it's a vast place. It's hard to know everything about it, and I haven't even been all over India myself. So even then, it's just like it's odd some of the decisions he's made. Honestly,
right. Like what's your what's your home address? I'm kidding. I ask that every time that I talk to somebody, and somebody is I'm always trying to throw in there like, yeah, like what's your address? So
I'll tell you my address. It's the yeah. I mean,
I get it. I get that there again. It's hard because you do want to be a part of this loving community, but you do also kind of have to find spots where you do have to like stand your ground. And but you still want to be that community, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this even going back to the Devar thing, I'm annoyed that he did it, but like I'm also not annoyed because he has a bigger community. He was able to bring limelight into my culture in a way, and it's still good limelight. So I'll take that, but I'm still a little salty. So I don't know what to feel.
Yeah, it's a shame that there's only 8 countries in the world. But but no, I get you. Like this is something very close to home for you, and it's so close that it is your home. I'll ask this because I feel like we lead into it very well here. How do you keep yourself inspired during phases of burnout, whether that be artistic burnout or video burnout or creative burnout? How do you keep yourself inspired?
I just engage with pop culture more when I'm feeling burnt out. Like seeing other people's work and how other people may go about adapting something is always interesting to me, and it inspires me in a lot of ways. Like if I'm feeling especially burnt out, I'll like pick up a random manga or something, or like a book or anything like that, and I'll be like, yeah, this is interesting. And usually it goes into that pipeline of like, what if I turn this thing from this specific book into a Pokemon? And it just starts coming back to me immediately. And it's like, yeah, okay, I feel recharged.
It's
another thing is just that. Another thing is just taking breaks when you need to. Like I get busy and I like overwork myself a lot. I've noticed this, and even with stuff in like my personal life. So I just try to take breaks when I need to. And I was just like, yeah, if I'm feeling burnt out, I'll take a break, and then I'll just like recharge myself so I can come back stronger.
Right. It's kind of that idea of like you could draw something and you're like, I'm really happy with this. or you say, I hate it completely, but you drew it anyway. You walk away, you come back the next day. Like, so many times I've drawn something, come back to my tablet the next day, open up Photoshop, I'll look at it, and I'll have completely different thoughts about it. You know? Or like you said, like, stepping away, like you had the thought about that food that you were talking about, where it's like, step away, and then you find something that inspires you, and you're like, oh, this could be it. I love that. I think that is a great piece of advice on dealing with burnout. But I do have one last question for us before we go, and this is a special question. It's a question that I want to ask every single time, and the question is, I say that and then I lost my space. What advice would you give to new artists getting into Fakemon? An artist that looks at you and says, I want to become like Lava Tyrant, like I did when I first started. Because for those of you listening who aren't aware, when I first started doing YouTube, Lava Tyrant was a big example that I drew on. I looked at Lava's channel and said, I want to be able to do this. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to be. And I used that as an example. So what advice would you give to someone who's like looking at you the same way I did, saying, I want to get to that place, but I did roll a D20 dice, and we got a 17. So you have to answer this question, and you have 17 words or less.
Oh no. Wait, I need to count it then. 17 words or less, huh?
Yeah. And you can explain, but I did like your note of advice has to be 17 words or less.
Keep trying to improve yourself and your art in the ways you find to be fun, basically. Like, what I'm trying to say is,
I like the basically got you to 17.
Basically, is just like, just try to have fun. Honestly, I think way too many people just lose themselves in making Fakemon and making it too, that I have to do this, I have to get it out there. No, just have fun. It's a fun niche. It's about creating the stuff you like and creating creatures that you find goofy or find cool. So have fun with it, honestly. The more fun you have, the more lively your designs will be. I've come to understand that, honestly.
Oh, for sure. I know that, like, when I'm doing stuff for like the work of like, I have to design a character based on K-pop Demon Hunters. It's like, okay, here we go. That's it. But then when you start to kind of loosen up, you find that like even like your poses, like, okay, I'm just gonna draw something dumb. Your poses open up more. The characters become more dynamic because you're not paying attention to like the rules of what a character is. You're having fun. And man, I think that is the hardest part of the job, is reminding yourself, hey, this is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
But
not just everyone else's fun. It's supposed to be for your fun, That's like the thing that you have to remember. It's like, if you're not finding it fun, then you kind of lost the point at some point, I think.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Well, you know what? Thank you, Lava, for being here. I appreciate you coming on and talking to me and talking to the audience, helping us kind of understand your mindset for Pokemon design, your mindset for YouTube, and I think helping people to be able to grow as artists and creators. I appreciate so much that you're able to do that for us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
So that was Lava Tyrant, amazing creator, and really eye-opening to be able to see someone who has so much passion for the craft. Like I said, Lava Tyrant is a huge portion of why this channel exists, so be sure to check them out. I'll have his link down in the description where you can find all of his stuff. And if, hey, you want to support this channel, make sure that you stop by that description so you can become a Patreon supporter. I'll have information down there on how you can get that, but these guys are a big part of what makes the channel function now. YouTube, any industry, any artistic endeavor is all about growth and learning and change, and as Lava put it, having passion towards what you're making. And these guys have passion towards these projects, so I have to thank them every video because I love what I do, and I love what they allow me to do. If you want to get access to videos early, you can also become a YouTube member for just $5 a month. Those YouTube members get access to videos early, as well as a couple other goodies. I do have to make an announcement on how we're working some of those members' benefits. Right now, YouTube members get access to those videos as soon as they're done, through YouTube kind of pushing those to them. I'm going to be changing that to where they are now going to be brought up through members-only comments, members-only community posts. So you'll still get access, they'll just be in a little bit different spot, because YouTube honestly makes it kind of hard for us as creators to work within that members-only space. So this will make things a little bit easier for me, and hopefully make things a little bit more accessible for you guys as YouTube members. I also want to bring about a little conversation about our merchandise. I recently dropped the Guzzlord hoodie. We have another design coming out here soon, so make sure that if you haven't yet, you grab that Guzzlord hoodie, because it's a really fun design. I'm not a person who likes wearing bright and garish colors or huge logos on my chest, so having something that's a little bit more toned down but still showcases my love for Pokemon is a win. I design stuff that I would wear, but with all that said, it sounds like you know where to find me, and more importantly, you know where to find Lava. So I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.